Yeah.
So we're going live.
And can you get rid of team on yours?
Yeah, so we are live, I believe. Yes, we are. Hi, guys. Nicola here, and I am joined with Teresa. And we are going to have an amazing live stream. We have a Bitcoin alert. We have a surprise person. First of all, Teresa, how exciting is this? Our first Bitcoin alert live stream.
Yeah, thank you all for being here with us. We are so excited about this channel, both because it's a topic we're both very passionate about, even though we have businesses outside of being hobby traders. We're also loving the level of consciousness that is around this whole conversation of cryptocurrency and how to grow your wealth, grow your success with cryptocurrency. So we're actually really excited to expand this conversation here.
Yes, and we're going to ask for your forgiveness to start with. I've done lots of live streaming, but this is the first time I've done one with somebody else using Zoom linking to YouTube. So there's a few technical things that we're ironing out. We'd love for you to say hi, participate, ask questions. I'm going to go over all the juicy things we're going to cover in this live stream. We're going to go for at least an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours if we end up with people who've got questions and you want us to answer them and help you out with some things that are going on for you in the crypto space. So what we're going to cover, really, this is a launch that is introducing you to our channel, what you can expect. We are going to do some market analysis. There's a lot that's going on with Bitcoin. We've just had Ethereum hit another all-time high, and it's in retracement at the moment. XRP is getting ready to moon. So we will look at some charts. And that's one of our playlists. One of our playlists is Trading Champions, which is becoming a champion in your trades, whether you're spot trading, which is buying low and selling high and repeating that, or whether you're trading with leverage. Getting on top of technical analysis is important. So we are going to do some of that today, and you can expect we're posting a lot of educational videos on that, as well as live streams on up-to-date market analysis. The other playlist we've got is called Scenario Champions. I'm going to hand that over to Teresa to briefly tell you what that is in one sentence.
Yeah, scenario trading was actually invented by trader Tom Hugard, who I'm a big fan of his work. But it's basically looking at what are the different scenarios that can affect the price of whatever it is you're trading, right? So a lot of times we just focus on the pattern, but we forget to think about things like, is there a Mercury retrograde going on? And yes, Mercury retrograde does affect the price of Bitcoin. And that's actually one of the scenarios we're going to be talking about on this channel upcoming.
Yes, we also have a playlist, excuse me, a playlist called Mindset Champions, and we hope to be the channel that you come to learn how to manage your emotions. FUD and Fomo are really big in the crypto space, and it can affect your profitability. So we want to pass on some techniques for you to help you with that. We'll talk a little bit more about that as we go through. We're going to do how-to Q&A playlist for you as well. We'll go into depth about that in this live stream as well as Bitcoin and altcoins if you're just getting started or you're wanting to grow your portfolio. So those are the basic playlists we're going to talk about today. We will go into a market overview. We've got some Bitcoin price action and some very controversial charting that Teresa and I have been talking about today that differs from what a lot of the other technical analysis out there are doing. And we're going to talk about, go deep into Trading Champions, common mistakes that people are falling into all the time when they're placing their trades. We're going to give some hot tips. We're going to talk about our favorite YouTubers in the crypto space you might want to be following and why and how. We're going to talk about our story and how we got scammed. Isn't that right, Teresa? That's how we got started.
Yeah, actually, that gave us the motivation to take control of our own money again, since we both know how to trade and get back into to trading crypto.
Yeah, and we'll talk a little bit about the context of our trading, because we are trading on behalf of Vistamundo, a conscious community we're setting up here in Costa Rica, and hopefully everything's going to go well with the rainy season, because usually it rains in the afternoon very loudly, so we're hoping to get done before that happens. We're also today going to be talking about scenarios that may be affecting your trades, as we mentioned before. Mindset champions, I'm going to talk a little bit about what you can expect from us, and also give you a technique that you can use right away. Again, a lot of channels out there doing technical analysis, but not specifically giving you tools, techniques, and strategies to deal with the psychology, to deal with the emotions, and to deal with the mindset. Yet every trader will tell you that's the most important thing, right? Success, profitability is 20% technical analysis and 80% psychology. So we want to fill that gap in for you and help you out there. We're going to open up for question and answers, so please keep the comments alive. Say hi. Where are you from? What questions would you like us to be answering in this live stream today? And generally, what kind of trainings would you like us to do when we're doing the videos that we upload? We do have a surprise at some stage of a very dear friend of ours and a YouTuber. And we might even sing a song for you that's going to anchor in a core lesson and a very important lesson for trading. So let's get underway, shall we? Let's see who we got on here. I can see Rochelle and Jeffrey. Hi, guys. Suli's here. Hi, Suli and Elisa. Adele. Oh, good, Adele. It's nice to see you. Sophie. Great. Hey, thanks. Awesome. We would love for you to keep the comments alive. And as I said, anything you want to ask about what's going on in the market or your crypto journey, please feel free to do that in this live stream. And if we can't go into depth about it, because obviously we don't have all the time in the world in this live stream, but we can answer it in other live streams that we do weekly, or we can produce videos, especially on that particular topic. We're going to be looking quite a lot about the Ichimoku cloud today as well. So kicking it off, Teresa, we are going to go into depth about market overview.
Yeah, let's do it.
Do you want to talk about that while I'm just setting that up? I've got to share my screen so everybody can see.
Absolutely. One of the things Nicola and I have talked about a lot that we think is really an important conversation to bring onto this channel is there's never one correct way to do technical analysis, right? You always have to remember that when you look at those candles on the Bitcoin chart, what you're looking at is the decisions of millions of traders out there, and not always traders. There's also commercial buyers in the mix, or investors that are, buying through large investment houses, right? And those people might all be doing technical analysis differently, right? Or their motivation for buying or selling may be different. So it's always a good idea to think about, how am I doing my technical analysis? How might someone else also be doing their technical analysis? Because there can be different lines of support or resistance in the market depending on how you draw it, right? So is the minute you're in the conversation of there's a right way to draw the lines and a wrong way to draw the lines, you could actually be in a mental trap. The bigger question is, how are the majority of traders drawing the lines? And could there be a split opinion on this in the industry?
Yeah, exactly. And on that note, what we've got in front of us here is the Bitcoin chart. And you can see what I've done with the lines is I have drawn a rising wedge, which we are just touching on the weekly. Now, you're going to get used to my charts. I'll try and present clean ones for you as well. But when I'm actually doing my charting, I've got lines everywhere and I've got notes everywhere, so I don't forget stuff, right? But if you have a look at this, let's draw this. At the moment where we're at is we've got this ascending triangle ever so slightly here. And we have broken out of it. We've come down to touch this bluey white line here, which is the ascending wedge on the weekly. A lot of technical analysis have been talking about us having broken out of this ascending wedge and then going down into the abyss and going down as low as 42,000, right? But what's really important about technical analysis is looking at it from all angles and zooming out, going into new charts. So if I was to come out here and just look at a different chart and I draw the lines differently, I can see perhaps we're not in a rising wedge, rising triangle, sorry, we're in a rising wedge. Now the difference is in the rising triangle, we're broken out, we're in danger of going further south and having a massive correction. But if we do it from the perspective that we're in a rising wedge, we've just touched the bottom here, right? And we're just hovering here. So at the end of this week, if we close above it, we're still in a really bullish run, getting ready to go parabolic. If we close below, then we can say, regardless of whether it's an ascending triangle or a rising wedge, we are heading south. But then we want to look at some indicators, and we're going to put together our favorite indicators and allow that for you to download that in a PDF. But if you have a look at the Ichimoku cloud, which we absolutely love, and I'm learning more and more about it as I work with it. But the Ichimoku cloud is a combination of moving averages, price action, and it projects into the future a little bit where we're going. And if you look at the weekly, we're about to, around about the beginning of May, head on up. And whenever you're looking at buying Bitcoin, whether you're spot trading or whether you're going to enter into a trade, it is important to zoom out. Is that right? And when in doubt, zoom out, Teresa?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. In fact, when I'm doing my technical analysis, I always start with looking at the weekly and the daily charts just to remind myself, where are we in the overarching pattern?
Yeah.
In fact, it's not a bad idea, especially if you're trading Bitcoin, whether you're spot trading or doing leverage trading, it's not a bad idea to look at Bitcoin dominance and other elements like that before you zoom in and start doing your technical analysis.
Yeah, exactly. Because sometimes, you'll enter into a trade when you shouldn't, or you don't when you could be making significant profits. So if we go back to the chart that I actually use on a daily basis, and again, it's very, very busy because I'm a visionary. And I'm dyslexic. I can see patterns better when it's busy. So if we're zooming in, I'm on the 1 hourly. We just came down and we touched this bottom here. This is the bottom line here, which was set at a resistance level of 52,600. One could say, if I take this white line out, one could say the bottom is in and we're going to start reversing. We had a W here, but we broke out. But what we're looking for, guys, but if you want to have confidence before going into a trade, what we're looking for is a clear sign that the market is reversing. And on the 1 hour, the Ichimoku cloud is showing we could be in for a little bit more downward action. And if we bounce off here and show other signs of reversal, then it's game on. We're heading back up. So I would say that within the next week, we're looking at being very careful when you are placing trades, because just when we think, it's good to put in a short, it heads the other way. And just when you think it's good to put in a long, it reverses. So it's quite, I wouldn't say dangerous. It's a bit of alarmist, but it's just be aware, be conscious. We're all about being conscious when you're trading. And then especially if we look at it from a weekly perspective, we're getting ready to head up for the next parabolic run according to Ichimoku. Now, Ichimoku's dynamic, so it can change, but right now that's where we're at. But have a look at this on the monthly. And MM Crypto, which is one of our favorite YouTubers we're going to be talking about and bringing onto the channel, he's agreed to do an interview with us. We're so excited about that. Is this chart here. This is on the monthly for Bitcoin, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 green candles. And at the moment we're in red, which in some ways is good, right? April is often a scenario where the price of Bitcoin, it can increase dramatically, but because March was so good, April might be a recapitulation month. We will just wait and see how it goes. We've got another week to go. Is it another week, Teresa, or is it? Yeah, where are we? 22nd. Oh, you've muted yourself.
Oops, sorry, I've muted myself. There's some really loud toucans outside my window, so I'm trying not to have background noise. But I think that's such a good point. We seldom see 7 green candles in a row on the monthly for Bitcoin, right? Normally it's 6 and then a red candle. And normally March would be a red candle. for Bitcoin. That's the most common pattern for Bitcoin. So, you know, it's very possible, very plausible that April will in fact be a red candle. We might not be seeing the turnaround for the next week if you look at this at the macro level, right? You know, also really important to note, for those that were following the 24-week support line that was on the weekly candles, right? If you were trading the rising triangle that broke down, the technical target of that would have been down in the low 30s, right? Now, is that likely? Probably not. We're probably not going to hit the low 30s. Actually, do you want me to share my screen for a minute, Nicola?
Yeah.
And yeah, let me do that. So, and I do my charting a little differently than Nicola, but that's one of the fun things. I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong window here. Where am I? Sorry, guys. Here we go. One of the things that we often talk about is it's good to look at the charting differently, right? But most of us were following on the weekly this 24-week long trend line that was holding on the weekly, right? And then everybody got really excited when we broke down here. And Nicola was just showing you that, in fact, if you just drew the lines a little differently like this, we might still be within the rising wedge pattern, right? So she just adjusted those lines. But if you were following, in fact, this major resistance line also happens to coincide with where the CME gap is right now. There's an upward gap, right, in the CME. But if you technically took this, the target of this particular trade, right? So if we measure at the first point where this became a legitimate pattern, would actually be the bottom of that triangle, which is down around 31,000. Now, I think most people are thinking, well, highly unlikely we're going to drop down to 31,000. But a really good point to always ask is, do we think the big institutional traders might want us to drop the price that low? Well, there are benefits from dropping the price, right? Like when you drop the price, two things happen. It's an opportunity for people to get in at a lower price. So sometimes there is kind of a market consensus to let the price soften. I'm not saying this isn't a conspiracy theory. It's just more, if enough people think it's a good idea for the price to soften and they're not putting in longs, the price will soften, right? And the other reason it's good for the price to soften is anytime a run-up is too parabolic, the run-up ends sooner, right? And we come crashing down. Like, you know, every rocket to the moon is followed by an elevator to hell, right? So there might be a lot of people in the industry right now wanting the price to soften because a recapitulation right now actually can strengthen the scenario. Remember, we're talking different scenarios, but the scenario that we're having a 2-peak bull run, because we've already seen lots of people in the industry talking about the pi cycle indicator, right? Indicating that we are at a local top right now. But if we get a decent size recapitulation right now, that actually really strengthens Bitcoin ability to hit even higher levels in August, September's, you know, the range a lot of people are predicting for a bull run. So it's just worth thinking about that. So I'd really encourage caution when you're exercising your trade. A friend of mine shorted at 61,000. I'm like, yay, keep that short open for a little while, because we don't know how far this is coming down, right? But I think it's a good environment within which to be cautious. Yeah.
It's coming down. Let me just share my screen right now. We could be going to 50,000. Like, right? We've just broken through this. So we shall see. We're on the 1 hour. When this happens, guys, I love my Ichimoku cloud. I always like to go to the shorter time frame just to get an idea. And it looks like we're doing a little bit of a curvature. So we could be going down a little bit further. Look on the 5-minute. This is Ichimoku, the Ichimoku cloud. Yeah, look, everything is consistent with Bitcoin going down. So if you're looking to short the market, I personally am always a bit nervous about doing that in a bull run. You want to see a retest of this, come down, retest this, come back down. And then if you want to put in a secure trade, you would put it in at a lower rate than this wick. So you just want to watch that. And if we're going down, we're looking at the breakout. I think I already had the pattern here. Let me go back to the 1 hour. This is the triangle. Like if you have a look here, we entered this symmetrical triangle in a downward trend. So it is more likely to break down. And if this is we broke out, where did we break out? We broke out here. And we would be looking at a target of 50,024 approximately. So that is a significant resistance line. I don't know if it is going to go lower than this. My gut feelings aren't to be relied on. Nobody's gut feelings are to be relied on, because as Ivan on Tech says, another one of our favorite YouTubers, fire your gut, because it's based on ancient fight or flight mechanisms. But my sense of it is that between 50,000 and 53,000, there was a tremendous amount of resistance. When we were coming up, we kept oscillating between 50,000, 53, coming back down to 50, going back up to 53. We spent a lot of time there, like at least a week or maybe 2 weeks. I can't remember exactly how much, establishing a very solid sideways action. So if we go below 50, we go below 50, but that would be the target that I would be looking at here. And if you were going to short this, you would bring over your short position, you'd come down a hair just past the last one to confirm that we are heading down, and you'd put in your stop, whoopsie, there. You'd put in your stop loss just back inside there, bring it back down here, always come a little bit. What I've noticed is that when we go down on any pattern, when you're in a bull run with Bitcoin, it doesn't always get the target. It usually falls a little bit short. Sometimes it overshoots it, but often it falls short. So you might want to come out at 50,100 maybe, but you want to monitor the trade again. You could put the trade in and then it could turn the other way just because of some fundamental news or something like that. So be very, very careful with that trade. That is a risk to reward ratio of 1.6, which is pretty risky. Yeah, would you agree? You really ideally you want.
I wouldn't enter that trade. Yeah. So and so that's important to notice. Just because there is a trade doesn't mean you should take the trade, right? Yeah. And I was away from trading for many, many years, but when I first started trading, I was trading Forex, and I have to say, crypto is like the wild, wild west relative to Forex. Like, regular currencies, fiat currencies behave reasonably predictable. I mean, they're still subject to the news and subject to rumors, but relative to crypto, where you're dealing with a very small market cap, there's a lot more possibility for big market players like the Bitcoin miners to come in and do massive price movements very, very rapidly. Right. So if the risk to reward ratio is not there, it's okay to wait the trade out. Like it's okay to wait for a better trade to come along. I think too many people, I actually create trading rules for myself. And one of the questions I always ask, because, I know some of you, there was a nice W there this morning. Some of you may have jumped in on the W and now you're underwater, right? So if that's the case, you're probably asking yourself, do I get out of the trade? Do I stay in the trade? I can't answer that question for you, because you got to look at what are your rules for trading, and is the logic on which I entered this trade and the rules I set for how this trade would go, are they still in play or aren't they? Mm-hmm. Right. And my rules even say I will not do these following things. One of my I will nots is I will not place a trade just because DaVinci J15 and MM Crypto Chris, we're all excited. Because they're excited about something doesn't mean they're saying to us, make a trade right now. Oh my God, it's so exciting. They're just excited at the possibilities, right? So one of the things that it's really important, and I'm huge fans of them, by the way. So, highly encourage you to watch their channels, because they both give really solid technical analysis, right? But I think it's really, really important to remember that nobody can predict the price of Bitcoin. We can just look at possible scenarios. Carl at the Moon, if you follow the channel, the Moon talks about this a lot. We're looking at possible scenarios that might play out in the price action, and then we're reacting based on whether it breaks up or breaks down, right? And if the logic for which you entered the trade is no longer valid, you've got to then make a decision. Do I get out of the trade or do I ride it around? And, you know, everybody has different trading rules. Most people highly recommend use stop losses, don't ride the trade around. But that having said, I know more than one trader who are like, nope, I'm just going to ride the trade around and see what happens. As long as you're consistent, as long as you've thought about the risk reward, as long as you aren't constantly changing your mind in the middle of a trade, you can have a successful trading strategy if you follow a pattern and trade it like a robot, you know, but you have to stay consistent with whatever your trading plan is.
Yep, absolutely. And getting to know the Ichimoku cloud is really awesome. We're going to be doing quite a lot of training on this. We're hoping to get Four Flies on here because he's really big on the Ichimoku, the guys from Mango Research. Because then, you know, if you're looking at deciding, ooh, should I get in, should I get out? You come down to the smaller time frame and you can get a guesstimate of, you know, where we're going. It doesn't always follow. You have to be very careful about it, but it's just one indicator you can use to help you make your decision. Just quickly, because we got a surprise guest coming on soon. Ethereum hit an all-time high and is in capitulation, has come back here and hit the Fibonacci retracement level at 2470, which is also a significant resistance line, support line here. So we might be finding support for this level. If we go further down, we may come down to this level here and test the old all-time high, which was 20, what was it? It was, I think there was a wick there. What did I write it down at? 24, I think it was 25.20, something like that, 25.25, something like that. So we could come down a little bit further, but this looks pretty solid. Again, the Ichimoku cloud looks like, you know, we could have some downward action before 3 o'clock in the morning. Tomorrow morning, we might start up again. Now, remember, Ichimoku is a dynamic, so it can change. So you want to keep an eye on this. And if you're looking at placing a trade in Ethereum, because we've just had a bit of a run, I would be waiting for a bit of consolidation and a new pattern, and I wouldn't trade it unless I had a pattern that I was trading. And we've got a very nice surprise for you on that note. So that's good. Fire away with your questions, guys. We're going to come to that in just a moment. XRP has just come down to the bottom of its symmetrical triangle, and it's pretty much between about this line here, $1.24 up to about $1.46. It's going up and down quite reliably within that. So that's an opportunity to, you know, buy the dip and sell the tip, sell it when it bounces off here as the resistance. But if you have a look at the Ichimoku on the 4 hourly, this is also gearing up for a parabolic run as well. But we've got a little bit of choppiness here over the next coming days. It's not the 4 hourly, sorry, it's the daily.
Your charts are like mine. You write notes all
I
over
write
the charts.
notes.
I do that too. Yeah.
I have done trades where I've totally forgotten. So if we have a look at the Ichimoku on the daily, we're looking at steadily going up, potentially maybe having a big dip before we then take another rise. So this is really helpful because it means you don't FOMO. You don't go, oh, I'm going to miss out. It's going up. It's going up. When you know your Fibonacci lines, which we're going to be talking about a lot, doing some training videos on, when you know your Fibonacci, it can help you just go, wow, you know, I don't need to panic. There's plenty of opportunity to place trades and to make money. So I've got Stefan. Are you coming on board right now? Like, do you want to come on live now? We got a surprise, guys. This is our number one most important thing that we say over and over again. And we have a very dear friend who we just love and adore, who was jumping into trades a little bit early and losing money. And I kept on saying, remember, no pattern, no trade. And I kept saying it over and over again. And every time she'd place a trade and lose money, I would say, well, what pattern were you trading? And it was like, well, I wasn't. I just got an instinct that it was going to go up, right? So I started saying no pattern, no trade, no pattern, no trade. And then one of the things that's really important to having ideas and rules that Teresa was talking about anchored into the body is to actually sing them, and then you anchor them in so that you can remember them. And so what happened was that the next time that here's Stefan, now he's our surprise guest. The next time that she went to jump into a pattern, she remembered the song we sang and didn't jump in, and saved herself from losing money, and ended up placing a trade, confirming a pattern, and making money, and now is doing really well. She's one of our crypto ninjas, which we'll talk about. So I want to introduce to you Stefan Suberu, who is a really good friend of ours, Venezuela, really, originally?
Trinidad and Tobago, so Venezuela.
Yeah. Multi-country, just like me. He's gonna sing the chorus.
Okay, wait a second. We've got to brag about Stefan a little bit, because he's actually a well-known singer in South America, and we feel very privileged that he's a dear friend of ours and actually a fellow trader. So I have to tell this story. We're all driving in the car one day with this friend who kept placing these trades. You know, she was very new to trading at the same time. And we spontaneously said, we can make a song for you so you won't forget. And we all started singing the song to a Bob Marley tune. So we asked Stefan to come on because his voice is so much better than ours.
Yeah, and he's gonna sing us a song as well, so we can listen to some beautiful music while we set up the rest of the live stream. So yeah, thanks, Laurie. So what do we do, Stefan? You're the musician. Do we just go 1 2 1 3 1 2 1 2 3 and then sing the chorus 4 times in a row?
Yeah, let's do that together. So I'll cue you guys in. Okay. 1 2
okay.
3.
Hang on a second, Stefan. Hang on. Why don't we cue everybody in? So everybody on the live stream, sing this with us, so you anchor in this massive rule so that you can become a profitable trader, and you can remember this when you go to place a trade. Okay.
This is going to be really fun though, because there's usually a slight delay on Zoom. So it might sound really, really bad. So just forgive us if it does. This is just going to be fun.
All right, you guys ready now?
Yeah.
1 2 3 and no
pattern, no trade. No pattern, no trade.
No
pattern, no trade.
Remember that.
No pattern, no trade.
We need Stefan to sing it.
We do, Stefan.
And now for the really big chorus, take it away, Stefan.
Yeah, so no pattern, no trade. Remember that. So Stefan's going to sing us a little song a cappella for the next minute, and then we will get on with the rest of our live stream.
Yes. So I'm going to share the song from Bob Marley again. We're going to stick to the classic Bob Marley because his music is just transcendental, and it's changed my life, and it's changed a lot of people's lives. This song, Redemption Song, it's actually a song I've been using in a process called the Mint process, which basically talks about how you incorporate music, intention, nature. Right now, actually, I'm surrounded by nature right now in beautiful Costa Rica. To create some transformation. And because we are conscious traders, we're all about transforming. And part of transforming, we use music as vibration to transform. So I hope you enjoy it. It goes like this. Oh, pirates, yes, they rob I, sold I to the merchant ships, and minutes after they took I from the bottomless pits. But my hands, they stay strong by the hands of the Almighty, and we forward in this generation triumphantly. So won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? Is all I ever had. Redemption songs. Emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our mind. Oh, have no fear for atomic energy, 'cause none of them can stop the time. How long shall we kill our prophets while we stand aside and look? Oh, some say it's just a part of it. We got to fulfill the book. Now sing with me. So won't you help to sing? Oh, these songs of freedom is all I ever had. Redemption song, it's all I ever had. Redemption song.
Yay!
Thanks.
Thank you,
We'll have
Stefan.
you come on and talk about the trading at another time, definitely, because I know you've been doing a lot of work on scamming and being avoiding getting scammed. So we want to give that to people, and then we'll do that Bob Marley song. I've written the lyrics to the No Patent No Trade, and we'll do that again another time.
Send it to me, and we'll do a parody song and just fully record it and just have it.
Yeah, well, we need to tell the story of if it's all being in the XRP blow off top one of these days, because that's such a good story. Well, Cliff Notes version. We'll tell the long story one of these days. But we all got together for a party the one day when they were predicting XRP to hit $1.30. You guys probably remember the blow off top back in January. And when it hit 70 cents, Stefan was the one person in the room saying, "Guys, I think we should be shorting right now." And the rest of us were like, "No, I'm staying in. I'm staying in." So I really honor you for that, because sometimes when the FOMO is high,
I know, right?
It's hard to listen to the voice of reason, and it's hard to notice those other indicators. And I still remember your voice in my head. And, you know, it really was a poignant lesson for me, because sometimes, like, that party was a good metaphor. There were 6 of us traders all having dinner together. We were eating pizza and trading at the same time, because there's a lot of us here in Mundo in Costa Rica that are all traders. And the emotions of us being together actually increased our FOMO. It was kind of neat to watch, right? But because we were all together, we were like, "Oh, this is so exciting." We're like, "Go XRP, go XRP," right? But I never forget that you were the one person with the presence of mind in the room to say, maybe we should be shorting, right? So when I stopped out, because you said that, I did not go back in, even though I'd lost a little bit. I mean, I still was well ahead on the trade. I think I made about $1,500 or something. But you saved me that day from too much FOMO. So I just really want to honor you as a trader for that.
We've all come a long way since then, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Stefan, you're breaking up. So on that note, we will love you and say goodbye, and we'll see you real soon.
Take care, my friend.
Okay, so coming up, we have got, this looks like there's some kind of a,
Yeah, we've got Stefan breaking up. Stefan, I'm just going to remove you because we're having so much trouble. There we go. Okay.
good.
Yeah,
good.
that was awesome
So
to have Stefan on.
Yeah. What we've got coming up, Teresa's going to talk about important news from Willy Woo. We're going to go into the trading champions, common mistakes people make. So stick around. We would love for you to place a comment, press like, subscribe, hit the bell, click all, so that you get notified. We're going to be having conversations on this channel that no other YouTube channel is having, as we dive deep into this concept of conscious crypto. Technical analysis, yes, scenario champions, important. We're going to talk about that in just a moment, and that mindset and emotion piece. But Teresa, over to you about the important news, the news alert for Bitcoin from Willy Woo.
I'm drawing a complete mental blank in this moment. What were we going to say about Willy Woo? First of all, I want to say, if you're not following Willy Woo, follow Willy Woo. He's one of the most brilliant analysts on YouTube and on Twitter, and he gives awesome price predictions. Remind me what we were going to talk about with Willy Woo. Yeah,
his prediction.
We're hoping to get him on the channel one of these days. Okay. Yeah. So one of the things Willy Woo was talking about, because lots of people talking about the pi cycle indicator, right? And where we might see the top. And there was a lot of buzz in the industry in the last week, because usually when the pi cycle indicator crosses, that signals the market top. One of the things Willy Woo was pointing out is in 2017, we actually did have the pi cycle indicator cross twice. We saw 2 tops. And now a lot of people are saying, that's actually a very likely scenario for this year. So we may not be anywhere near the top. What else do we need to say about that, Nicola?
Yeah, well, just the idea is that as that as the pie chart crossed over, the concept is this is a signal that a few days or a few weeks later, we see the bear run, and we see we never return to that price again. We go down, 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 down for the next couple of years, and until we start the next bull cycle. So that crossed. We came down and it was like, oh my goodness, that was it. We topped out at 64,000 or whatever it ended up being. Does that mean the bull run is over for Bitcoin? And Willy Woo's just basically saying that we have had precedent before where we had that major recapitulation, but then we bounced back up and we had a second top, and that was a big parabolic run to these figures of 80,000, 100,000, maybe 240,000, by May, possibly September. As soon as this is over, this live stream, we're going for 2 hours. We're going to be answering all your questions, so you can start popping your questions in the comment section now. Afterwards, we're uploading one of our mentors, the blockchain today, Jeroen van Lange. We're uploading an interview we did with him, and he talks a lot about scenario trading, Mercury retrograde, whether Bitcoin pumps and dumps. He also predicts the stock market crash, which will then cause a Bitcoin crash this year, which signifies where the top of the market could possibly be. So all in all, we could be getting 2 tops. It's not the end, according to Willy Woo and Jeroen. So be sure to, if you haven't subscribe to the channel. Oh, you're sharing your screen?
Yeah, I'm just going to show it here while you talk.
Oh, okay, cool.
So this was the 2013. We saw the lines cross here for a local top. We saw them cross again at the ultimate top. Yeah. Then they crossed again in 2018 at the top. So a lot of people are suggesting we're having a local top here. So I just thought I should pull that up while Nicola's explaining it. And I thought that was one of the more brilliant things that Willy Woo talked about this year, although he actually, really points out some fascinating things around the cycles for Bitcoin. So I really highly recommend that you follow him on Twitter, especially.
One of the things we are going to be doing in our playlist called Trading Champions is the technical analysis, so that a lot of the things we're talking about we'll make videos of. We'll have interviews with people so that you're staying up to date with the market as we progress into the bull market and then into the bear market. As the more really good quality information you have, the better your decisions are going to be as to when to sell, if to sell, and when to get in, and so on. Let's talk about the common mistakes people make, Teresa. And the first one is not checking for divergences. And you're really good at that. So why don't you talk about that? Because I don't check for divergences.
I always check for divergences, because I'm a human being too, right? And I have my favorite YouTubers to follow. A lot of you watching probably have your favorite YouTubers to follow. I love watching Chris at MM Crypto, Carl the Moon, Jeroen van Lange, who's the blockchain today. I love watching DaVinci J15, Satoshi Stacker. A lot of these guys give awesome predictions. I highly recommend you follow them. And it's easy to get sucked into their enthusiasm, right? I've caught myself in moments when they're saying, oh, the price is breaking out, thinking, oh, I got to run and make a trade this minute, right? Because when you hear, for me, psychologically, when I hear the term breaking out, I feel like the horses just broke out of the gate and they're running. I better go catch the horses. That's the psychological impact that that phrase has on me, right? So I've forced myself to think about, no, breaking out just means it's outside of the pattern that we've been watching. It's really, really important note to follow, right? In fact, I've even had moments where Nicholas said it's breaking out, and then I catch myself halfway to my computer about to make a trade, and I'm like, wait a second. She didn't mean go place a trade. She just said the price is breaking out, right? And so you really do need to look for the other confirmations. You know, is it coming back and testing the same line that was resistance now is support? Is there volume confirmation? And, you know, really, what is the RSI or the stochastics doing? Like, I love watching the stochastic RSI and the RSI, because if they're showing divergences and the divergences don't agree with the direction the price is going in, or they should agree, right? Like, so if there is a divergence and it is agreeing with the direction the price is going in, great, you've got your confirmation. If there's no divergence, well, then do you have some other confirmation signs, right? Like, is there at least volume, etc.? And if the divergence is in the wrong direction, it's okay to wait. You know, because I really think divergences on the RSI are one of the strongest indicators we have of whether there is good energy behind the movement that we're seeing in this moment, right? Is there good momentum? Because they are both momentum indicators, right? So taking that one moment to double check whether there is agreement, you know, check the EMA ribbon, check the Ikimoku cloud. This is one of Nicola's favorite indicators, is the Ikimoku cloud, and I'm just learning the Ikimoku cloud. But I have to say, if it's in disagreement with where we think the price action is going, it's a good point to pause and check. Yeah. Is this really a solid trade? And you know, one of the things I learned back when I was Forex trading that I've really carried forward into crypto trading, most of the money I would make in a year came from 5 trades, like 5 really, really good, solid trades. And I could have done away with all the other 90 trades I made, and it wouldn't have mattered. Like, the majority of money I made came from those 5 trades, right? And that really, really taught me, if in doubt about the trade, it's okay to wait. Because if you're in doubt about the trade, it's probably not going to be one of those really awesome, really, really profitable trades anyway. And your odds of losing money may be almost as great as your odds of making money. You know, if in doubt, sometimes discretion is the better part of valor, and it's okay to wait. You know, we need to make a song about that. It's okay to wait.
I was going to say, it's okay to wait. It has to be a line in our song, no pattern. Right. And that's one of the other common mistakes that people make, is jumping in before the signals are there. You have your pattern, and there are some traders that will come in as, actually, let me just share. I'm going to share my screen on this one with using Ethereum. Okay, so say we had this pattern here, potential pattern, this little bull pennant. We've got the pole here, and then it came into a pennant, actually broke out, came back down to test the previous resistance line of support, but broke all the way down through it, right? So there would have been some traders that would have traded this breakout and put in a trade here, put in a long, and then what's happened is that it came back to retest and then dumped. We see that a lot with Bitcoin and Ethereum, right? So a more conservative way, which is Crypto's way of trading, is that you see the breakout, you have one full candle above the support line clearly broken out, and then it comes back down to test, to say, yes, we're testing this resistance line as support, we're bouncing off it, and we're going to come up above, just above here where it last hit. So we know that we've just established a higher high. Then we come down to volume, and I don't have my volume candles on here. Where are they? Where's my volume? Oh, well, normally you would have volume candles. Have I got it in another chart? Yeah, here we go. You come down here to have a look at your volume to see what's going on with the volume. Have we got an increase in volume that gives us the momentum to push the price up? Because if we don't have the volume, we're in danger of the trade heading south, right? So those are things that you need to be aware of. Teresa, we are going to put a PDF together for people to download of like, this is what you check, right? Here's your checklist. Yeah.
Yeah. Really, really good. And, one of the things, I hear this question come up a lot, and I know with the Crypto Ninjas group that you lead, that you mentor and train, I've heard this question come a lot from that group too, is what the heck do we do with our stop losses, right? Because, and personally, I struggle with this one too, right? Because you don't want to turn a winning trade into a losing trade. Yeah. And then, we're often moving the stop loss up too soon. And then you get wicked out of what have been a perfectly good trade, still in profit, but only in very minor profit, as opposed to the 15,000 or whatever that you could have made on that trade, right?
There's an example.
Yeah. So maybe speak to that one a little bit, Nicola. Like, when do you move the stop loss up, and when do you claim it as a profitable trade?
Yeah, that's a common mistake people have, is they don't put stop losses in, or they put them in and move them. They put them in the wrong place, or they move them. And that's happened to me a number of times. It'll happen to a lot of experienced traders, because, there is no real prediction of if the market's going to turn around on you. But here are the practices, and which practice you have may vary based on what your risk management is. And Marzel Money, I interviewed him. He talks a lot about risk management, so be sure to catch that interview when we release that on Monday. So here are the practices for stop losses, right? You put in your trade and you say, let's say we were going to trade this here. We trade the breakout. We didn't wait for it to retest this support line, resistance line of support. We just placed it and we put in a stop loss of 5%. We would have got stopped out. We would have got stopped out probably at 15%, right? Because this trade is kind of going south. So normally people would put in a stop loss at 5% and then just get back in when it's lower. So you're saying, if it's going any lower, I'll just get back in at a lower rate and I'll make that money up once it comes back. That's the concept of 5%. However, sometimes that dip is a wick, and within seconds, you're back in a profitable trade, right? So then what the next practice that some traders will have, which is the one I use quite a lot, is you go down to, if we're, you always zoom out and go, what am I doing? Am I posting higher highs? I think I am. I'm getting higher lows rather. Here we go. I'm posting higher lows. So what I might do is leave a really big stop loss and go, well, if it's going lower than this, right, because that was the last time it dipped, we know that we could be heading south even further. So I might put the stop loss in under the pattern, under the last low, so because I know we're posting higher lows, and that way I'm safe for the volatility that happens, well, relatively safe for the volatility that's happening before the trade goes north. But a lot of this, Teresa, really does depend on volume. If you've got volume, you've got momentum to push the price up. So that shouldn't happen if you're trading the pattern and you're trading the signals, especially with the volume support, right? It really only happens if you come into the trade a bit early. But that's kind of that. Now, I have seen people put stop losses just above liquidation, and they add to their stop loss as they go. But that's very risky. You have to know the structure of the market to do something like that, because otherwise you can get these big long, you see this one here, this was the Bitcoin where we just wicked. It came down within seconds. The price came all the way down to 51,471 approximately, and then bounced back to 54,900. And if your liquidation price was here, you would have got liquidated. You would have lost your entire trade. That's market manipulation, and you can't predict that. So I think that putting a stop loss just above your liquidation is very, very risky. You have to be certain that there aren't going to be any dumps, any price manipulations. You have to know your Fibonacci's. Anything to add?
I think that's worth talking about from a risk reward standpoint, right? Like the only way to be a profitable trader is that the level of risk you're taking is way below the level of reward that you could achieve, right? So if, and I'm not recommending this, but if you are putting your stop loss just above the liquidation price and riding trades out, what's the upside potential gain in that trade? Because if it's not like at least an 8 to 1 trade, or you get what I'm saying? Like if you're risking losing 3,000 and you don't stand to gain 15,000 on that trade, as an example, then you're risking a lot of money for very, very little reward, right? So it's always a good idea to consider that risk reward ratio. That's why going into these little trades, and I know scalpers think differently, you know, so there are scalpers out there that do very, very well taking high risks for low rewards because they're so confident in their entry points and so confident in what the market's going to do. And I really admire scalpers who can do that. I've been trying to learn some of the techniques at scalping just so I can get more solid on my entry points, right? But it's just really important to really always look at what's the level of risk you're taking relative to the level of potential reward you might get out of this trade. And if you're doing that and it's down at the bottom of the market, that might be one thing. But if you're way up at the top and we've just hit an all-time high and you're putting your stop loss right above the liquidation point, like that kind of stuff is crazy making, you know, because you don't know where the price exploration is going to go to. You have no idea what the possible reward is on that trade, but you're risking 100% of your trade. You know, so just really always really think about that. And we're not recommending putting your stop loss right above the liquidation price, by the way. We're just talking about it from a risk reward standpoint.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we're not financial advisors, so don't take our advice. Just use what we're saying to go do your own research and help build.
DaVinci J15 says this is for entertainment purposes only.
Only, yeah. Yeah, but just use it to go do your own research and increase your body of knowledge and definitely benefit from our experience of both sides of winning experience and losing experiences, because all traders have them, and learn this tool here, the law in TradingView. Link to TradingView is below in the description here. I was trying to see if I could find an example of what you were talking about, but we didn't set the charts up prior to going live, so I think we might make a video. But you want to you know, like for instance, say if you traded this here, this was a breakout, and you traded the breakout, which is something that Carl from the Moon does, and you go, well, here, this is the potential upside. I think this was the line here. We broke out here. If this was to continue to the upside, you had volume support. This was a trade that was going to go to 61,800 potentially, right? So it could have gone up there, and then you would put in a stop loss, say at about here. Your risk to reward ratio is 3.3. So I've always been told 3.1 is good. I know DaVinci J likes 2 to 1, right? Anything less than that. But the more you move your stop loss up, the less risk you have. And this is a better reward ratio. But had you had taken that trade at the breakout, this would have gone south. Your liquidation point would have been really low. And if you had your stop loss above liquidation and added to it at liquidation, it continued to go further and then wicked all the way down here. So you've added money to the trade, lowered your liquidation, but still didn't get the lower liquidation point. So the added money plus the original money is in the margin that you've put in that trade is lost. So I think time for a song. No pattern, no trade.
No trade.
No pattern, no trade.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Let's talk head and shoulders. While you're talking, I'm going to see if I can. Do you remember when we had a head and shoulders?
Well,
It was a fake. Here we go. A fake head and shoulders.
Yeah, and a lot of times you're watching, even some of the favorite YouTubers do this. It's really important to understand how patterns normally perform. And a head and shoulders is a reversal pattern, right? And so often people are like, oh, it's a head and shoulders. But if you're not coming into it from one direction and going out of it in the other direction, it's not a head and shoulders, it's just a wedge. Right. And so it's important to understand what pattern you're looking at, because I think sometimes we're looking for patterns in the charts and we forget to think about whether or not the pattern is in fact a reversal pattern versus a continuation pattern. That's a really important thing to consider, right? Did you want to show them an example of one, Nicola?
Yeah, I've got the example here. So this was a head and shoulders pattern, and we reached it perfectly. But so we had a double top. We touched the top here and here. So a double top is also a reversal pattern as well. You come down to the line, head and shoulders. There's the head, shoulders on each side. Here's the breakout. But what would have happened if you had done a 5% stop loss? You would have been stopped out because it didn't go straight down. It came up first and then came down, right? And then came up again and then came down again. But we actually did reach that in a roundabout way. But normally for a reverse, for it to be a head and shoulders pattern, a true head and shoulders pattern, it is a trend reversal. And if we were to have a head and shoulders pattern in the middle of a bull run, they often don't go to the downside. They usually get invalidated because we're in a bull structure. We're not in a pattern, in a trend reversal, if that makes sense. So when you're trading head and shoulders, you really want to get perfection on the neckline. You really want to get either a double top at the top, or the second part of the head is a little bit lower, indicating that we're going lower. We've just set a lower high. And that's, those two things are really important, because I've seen a lot of head and shoulders patterns that have been called that were in a bull structure and they weren't signifying that we're actually going to have a trend to the downside. They got invalidated. People traded them and they lost money, unfortunately.
And if we had entered that pattern from a downtrend, that would not have been a head and shoulders. Like, you have to enter a head and shoulders from an uptrend if it's an upward head and shoulders. If it's a reverse head and shoulders, you need to be entering it from a downtrend for it to be valid as a head and shoulders, right? Let me share my screen for a minute, because I just want to say something a little further about this, which is if you're new to trading, this is the Bible for a lot of traders, Bulkowski's book on chart patterns. And he didn't specifically write it for Bitcoin or crypto trading, but the patterns he talks about in this book apply to all currency trading. And it's not a bad idea when you're a new trader. If you think you see a pattern in the charts, I would highly recommend you get a copy of this book and then look up the pattern and read what it says about the pattern, because some patterns have a much higher probability of playing out than others. And it's a really good idea to know, like, is this pattern just a 60-40 probability that it's going to go up versus down? Is this one of the most highly probable patterns? Some patterns are super reliable, others not so much, right? And that's why, you often see some of our favorite YouTubers talk about certain patterns way more often than other patterns. Like a cup and handle is a fairly reliable pattern on the list of, how patterns normally act predictably, right? So if you are new to trading, or even if you're a seasoned trader, but you feel like you need to brush up on your patterns, I do highly recommend. They just came out with the second edition of that book, so it's been updated. And I really highly recommend you get your hands on a copy of that.
Yeah. So we have a hot tip for you as we go into our second hour. And that hot tip is trade the higher patterns, like the weekly, the daily, the 4 hourly, and an hourly to a certain extent, because they have a greater chance of coming good for you. But use the 3, 5, and 1 minute with the Ichimoku cloud to look at the immediate trend of where it's going, so that you get a good entry point. That's what I do. It's like, here's the pattern. Now I want to get a good entry. I don't want to enter and then have the trade go south and be at a deficit for an hour or two. I want to get it when it's really hitting the bottom, and that's where you can use the Ichimoku cloud and the 1 minute time frame specifically to get a good enter. I think we're going to make a video on that, aren't we, Teresa? So we've got some new people watching, by the way. So love for you to like. It really supports the channel and the algorithm for YouTube to say, hey, these guys are putting through some really good content, and make a comment. We are having conversations here and doing lots of teaching, training, education videos. We've got a number of our favorite YouTubers who have agreed to come on. We've already got interviews. I think what we're going to do is go through our favorite YouTubers right now. The first one is Jeroen von Lange, who is on the blockchain today. He was the first one that the Crypto Ninjas, I have a Crypto Ninjas trading group, link below if you're interested in that. It's a VIP group where we get together 4 times a month to help each other create good trading and good buying opportunities for altcoins and so on. And he was one of the guys we watched a lot. Well, we've done an interview with him. We're releasing it at the top of this hour, where he is predicting the exact month Bitcoin and the stock market crash are going to happen based on a very mystical event that is happening in that month. And he's also talking a lot about Mercury retrograde and how that's a scenario that is going to help us know whether Bitcoin's going up or down. And so that's the blockchain today. I'm going to put all of the references in the chat. So if you're watching the replay, the references to all of these YouTubers are going to be there. Carl from the Moon, we've got a shout out to him to get him on. He's another one that the Crypto Ninjas watch. Carl is really good at the specifics of technical analysis and the specifics of targets and entry points. I love his channel for that. He's really awesome. Crypto, we met Crypto. He's coming onto the channel. He agreed to be interviewed. We met him when we were in Mexico, him and Da Vinci J. He's really good. He's very enthusiastic, but good technical analysis. But he's also got a really good grounding in the bigger picture. Da Vinci J15 is another one of our favorite YouTubers. Very good on the altcoin side of things with Ethereum as well. Carl from the Moon and Crypto, Bitcoin's really their favorite. They are segueing into altcoins now that we're coming into altcoin season. Bitcoin Hyper, I love Bitcoin Hyper. We haven't heard from him to say whether he would come onto the channel, but what he's really good at is the Elliott waves. Elliott wave theory he masters, and so you can have an idea that if we do have a recapitulation around about where it might stop. Digital asset news. Do you want to talk about digital asset news? Because we've interviewed him. We're going to be releasing his interview tomorrow.
Yeah, Rob from Digital Asset News. He's really great to follow, to keep an eye on like what's happening in the industry as a whole that might impact the price of Bitcoin, right? Like how does Michael Saylor affect things? What's going on with Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy's doing a big event? He actually attended the big event that Michael Saylor put on and gave us really good updates on what was being talked about at that event. So he's really got his thumb on the pulse of what's happening in the crypto industry as a whole. And his channel's just awesome to watch to get a sense of what are the overarching forces at play. So I love his channel.
Yeah, we interviewed Digital Asset News, Dan as in D-A-N, but his name's Rob, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so in that interview, he talks about the 3 most important things you need to get together for your exit strategy when we get to the top of the market. And the number 1 indicator that he uses to decide whether to buy or sell. So that's awesome. We're releasing that interview tomorrow. We're releasing videos every day. And then we're live streaming at a regular time once a week at least, with some spontaneous live streams when there is price action or something's going on in the market and we need to deal with FOMO or FUD or something like that. I've interviewed Cian Kenshin, who is a crypto trader, Qigong meditation teacher, spiritual seer, all in one. And talk about conscious crypto. We go out there in that interview. That is really and if you don't want to miss out, we'll be uploading that. I think we're going to upload his on I can't remember if it's tomorrow or Monday. Tomorrow's Friday, right? But if you are subscribed and you have hit the bell and clicked all, in the top right hand corner of your YouTube channel, you will always have a notification of when we've uploaded videos. So that's why you want to do those things. Subscribe, click the bell, and hit all. Marcel Money is one of my mentors. I just love his analysis. I love his cool, calm, and collected approach. He's British. He doesn't have the hype that a number of the other YouTubers have. And so when I'm a bit worried, I love going to his videos to just get some calmness in there. Four Flies is another one who I love, who's really into the Ichimoku. Maisel Money, his interview is going to be released on Monday. And we talk quite a lot about the strategy between, do you sell at the top of the market? Do you hold? Which altcoins should you get rid of because they might not be there for the next market cycle when we get into the altcoins? So we're really heavy on strategy. Plus, we dive deep into risk management and stop losses. So you're going to want to do that. Do you want to talk about crypto love, Teresa?
Yeah, boom shakalaka, right? Randall at Crypto Love. Again, another crypto enthusiast who's just really good at the high level analysis of like, what's the overarching picture we need to pay attention to. His understanding of altcoins is just phenomenal. He's also a big fan of Willy Woo. So, but what I love is he often takes some of the things Willy Woo is talking about and puts it in context of what some of the other experts are talking about. When you've got a convergence of opinions of some of the top experts in the industry, it's always cool to watch when different people are arriving at the same conclusion. Like a lot of experts right now are pointing to September, especially the last 2 weeks of September, as a very likely scenario for the top of the bull run. And Randall at Crypto Love talks about a lot of that on his channel. He also talks about things like days of the week, like which days of the week tend to trade higher and how do they perform. So that's something that's a real passion of mine, like looking at the different scenarios that might affect what's going on in the moment. So looking beyond the pattern at the scenarios that might play out that might affect the pattern.
Yeah. So we've just got a few more of our favorite YouTubers we want to give a shout out to. Then we're going to talk to you about our story, how we got scammed and how you can set yourself up not to get scammed. Because while there's a lot of profits to be made in the crypto space, there are some scammers out there that will take everything from you. But we want to shout out to Cryptos Are Us, George. We're all George, love George. He's really awesome. He's very good at fundamentals. So he's a good person to be following. And like, I follow all of these YouTubers, and one of the things that I often do is put them on fast forward. Like, I will do the double speed because I don't have time to watch all of their videos every single day, but they give such good information on every day, and we're going to be giving such good information every day as well, that, you know, if you don't have time but you need the information, you can always on YouTube, you can set the speed to go a bit faster, and you can get all of the information at a much speed up rate. It's a bit weird, but you get used to it. Satoshi Stacker is another one, and all of these YouTubers, by the way, are on different time zones. So it's good to have different time zones, because if the trade goes south and your YouTuber isn't on board because they're sleeping, it's good to have other YouTubers you follow in different time zones, so that at any given time of the day, you've got somebody to go to, and you can follow them. Our time zone is Mountain Time, Denver time, even though we're in Costa Rica, so we're on the same time zone right now. Four Flies I've mentioned, he's in Dubai. BitBoy Crypto, I love BitBoy Crypto. He's a fellow conspiracy, shine the light on the conspiracy of what's going on. So is George from Cryptos Are Us. Both of them were really onto it when there was a lot of dumping going on by one particular Chinese mining company, and it really turned things around. It changed the manipulation because they were onto it, and I think that's really good. BitBoy Crypto is the biggest YouTuber channel that there is, and he's also really big on looking at altcoins and the smaller cap altcoins. So I like to watch him for that. Ivan on Tech I really like. as well. He's very good on altcoins, and he's also really good on mindset and psychology as well. And we're hoping to get all of those on the channel and get them interviewed. We've got yeses from a lot of them already. We're still waiting to hear from others. And the other one we really want to bring onto the channel, and who's our favorite, is Nomad Capitalist Andrew Henderson. He's been putting out a lot of videos on crypto and how you can preserve your profits. So that is really cool. So let's talk about our story. I'm going to let you start it off, and then we're going to talk about our story. We're going to talk about scenario champions, and ask any of you guys if you want to participate in that. Mindset champions, a little bit about mindset, and then answer questions. So if you've got any questions, please post them in there now, and then talk about our final playlist on what we're going to be giving you, and then we'll call it a day. But right now we're going to talk about our story.
Let's talk about our story. Well, you know, I used to be a Forex trader many, many years ago. I was a hobby trader, not a professional Forex trader. And I gave it up because it was causing too much stress in my life, right? And that was back in, I like to call that the dark ages of trading, right? We didn't have TradingView. We didn't have these really sophisticated platforms that we have now. So it was, you know, when I did eventually come back to trading, it was kind of a lot like I learned trading when we were horse and buggy, and in between they invented the Lamborghini. You know, it was really a different experience. But I guess it was a few years ago now, Nicola came to me one day, and we'd both been following a lot about Bitcoin and crypto. We were very big crypto enthusiasts, but she came to me one day saying, Eureka, I found a site where they will do the trading for you that you can invest in. And, you know, it looks like a really good site, right? Do you remember you were telling me about it? And I remember asking her about, like, what have you done on due diligence and stuff like that? And it was sounding really good. But the first words out of my mouth were, you know, if I was going to do that, I might as well go back into trading. I remember saying that to you, right? I had a lot of hesitancy about it. And then I got enrolled in everyone's enthusiasm for it, you know, and a lot of people had done due diligence. The company had been around for 7 years. We discovered later that they had bought a stale company to make it look like their company had been around for 7 years. So lesson number one, don't necessarily assume that a company that's been around 7 years has actually been around 7 years. So, you know, we both got enrolled in it, and at first we're making amazing money. And then do you want to take the story from here, or do you want me to keep going?
Yeah, it was the answer to a lot of people's dreams. And then we started seeing signals and started warning people to, you know, to get profits out and to monitor the situation really carefully. But unfortunately, there was just a timing issue, and it got jammed because nobody was having problems getting money out until they were having problems getting money out. And we got scammed out of our Bitcoin. And there was another scheme that we got into where they trade on your behalf as well, and lost that as well. And the bottom line of it was that, you know, a girlfriend of mine who was part of this said to me, you know, when that kind of thing happens, the universe is always opening a door for you to go in a direction you wouldn't have taken had this tragedy not happened to you. And in this instance, for Teresa and myself and a number of other people who this happened to, the door that was opening was do it yourself, DIY.
Yeah, I remember that. I was lying in bed one morning, and I remembered those words that I said to you. I remembered, it just came back to me, where I remember saying, I might as well just go back into trading if I was going to do that. And for some reason, those words kept rattling around in my head, and I thought, you know, I bet if I was trading, like, because my first experience with Forex trading was very isolating. Like, I was doing it on my own. I was doing it through a broker. I had no one to talk to about my trades. So there was a lot of background stress. And I remember thinking, you know, if I had a community around me and we could support each other on, especially the psychological aspects of trading, because nobody really talks about that, but it's not the technical analysis that's the hard part. It's just not. It's the staying with the trade until it wins, or knowing when to get out of trade. It's the mental game, right?
Yeah.
And I thought about it, and I thought, you know, Nicola and I are both leaders who teach mind mastery in our businesses, and we're both meditators, you know, and we would have each other for support. So I remember marching over to your apartment and just said, you know what? You have all this experience at technical analysis way beyond anything I have. I used to trade Forex. I understand how the system works. I think we should go back into trading. And do you remember what you said to me when I said that? Yeah. Yeah. You just looked at me for a minute. And like sort of this calm comes over Nicola. It was really interesting. She's just looking at me, this calm comes over her. And then she just says, yes, that's what we should be doing. It was like almost like an epiphany moment, right? It was kind of like, why did we bother sending all this money for someone else to do trading on our behalf when actually we're some pretty smart ladies? We already have a background in understanding most of this stuff. Why aren't we just doing it ourselves? And you know, then we stuck a toe in the water and haven't looked back, right?
Yeah, and full disclosure, like I have my personal hodling position, but we're trading on behalf of Vistamundo to build the conscious community. So that is a little bit different than if you are, you know, trading to build up your retirement savings, right?
Yeah.
Or, you know, like really important things for your own personal wealth. So we just want to be upfront with you about that this whole channel is about fundraising to build Vistamundo's conscious community and supply jobs, you know, in an area that's been really badly hit by the you-know-what that happened last year.
Yeah, it's kind of neat what's developing in our community here too, because, you know, Vistamundo was an idea that's starting to come to life, right? That maybe there's a better way to live, you know? And so not only are we're all buying land, you know, everybody's buying their own separate lot and building, but we're living here in a shared environment where we're building food forest all around us, and you know, looking at having synergistic businesses that all support each other. And it's fascinating that just by happenstance, a number of the people that have been attracted into this community are also crypto enthusiasts and crypto traders, which I'm starting to realize, like, the innovators and the change agents of the world were automatically attracted to crypto, right? If you're listening, you probably really resonate with this, right? Because the whole reason why cryptocurrency was developed was it was kind of like a great leveler of society. You know, it's actually making it easier for people in developing countries to generate wealth or get paid. And ironically, a lot of the first world countries that hold a lot of the existing wealth of the world are making it very difficult to do investment in crypto, or any kind of trading in crypto. Like if you live in the United States, it's very, very difficult even to do spot trading like what we do in crypto. And so it's just kind of fascinating that there's a consciousness to crypto trading in general. And a lot of that's actually been attracted to our community here. Of the several people living here now, 4 of us do some level of trading in cryptocurrency, which is kind of neat. So.
I had said in the interview I did with Sian Kenshin that the existence of crypto is the sign that consciousness has undergone a paradigm shift in you know, in our financial thinking, and we've got more videos coming up on that for you as well. Let's talk about our scenario champions playlist. This is where we're going to be uploading interviews and videos that we make to help you understand the scenarios that could be playing out that will affect price action and therefore whether you should buy or sell.
Yeah, I love the whole notion of scenario trading. I'm a big fan of Tom Hugard, Trader Tom, who invented this. So he's another of my favorites. Even though he doesn't do crypto trading, he has a really solid understanding of trading in general. And you know, one of the things he talks about, and this is well known, like, because exchanges are required to list their results, right? So 80% of traders are unprofitable. Think about that for a minute. 80% are profitable. And of the 20% who are profitable, what percentage of those are actually making really, really good money? And what percentage are just barely profitable, right? So we're probably looking at less than 5% of traders are making really, really good money. So what that says to me is this has to go way beyond just understanding what the pattern is, right? Because if all you're doing is trading the patterns, then you're probably in the 80% that's not making money, right? And you might resonate with this if you've ever done things like gotten out of a trade too quickly because you got nervous and then watched the trade go into the levels that were extraordinarily profitable, and you're like, oh, why did I get out of that trade? Or you hung on to a trade way too long, like you had a trade that was going south and the reasons you got into the trade were no longer valid, but maybe you even find yourself moving the stop loss down so you can stay in the trade, right? And those are typical mistakes that traders make, that have to do more with mindset than actually effectively trading the pattern. And so what scenario trading is all about is, what are the bigger scenarios that might be at play here? Like one of the things that Randall at Crypto Love talks about is Monday's often one of the higher days of the week in terms of the price of Bitcoin. Like if you take cost averaging, Monday's often one of the highest days and Friday's often one of the lowest days. So in general, if you want to buy Bitcoin, buy on a Friday and sell on a Monday, on an average, you'll do better. Like if you just had a pattern of every Monday and Friday of buying or selling, at the end of the day, you'd probably be further ahead. But how does the Monday price action get affected if on the weekend there was an all-time high? Or how does the Monday price action get affected if on the weekend we had a gap in the CME pricing, right? And I love the idea of diving into those questions. So what we've been doing is we're actually putting together a mastermind of people, just a group of volunteers dedicated to really researching different elements of price action. And we're dividing those people up in teams. Right? So one small group of people is really looking at Mondays, and they're actually diving back into the charts to look at what does the typical Monday in a bull cycle perform? What does the typical Monday in a bear cycle perform? How does the fact of a CME gap or an all-time high affect the Monday? What if it's a holiday in Europe, or what if it's a holiday in North America, right? So we're going to have people look at, are there scenarios that tend to affect the price action on specific days of the week, right? Mercury retrograde's another one. We've got a great video coming up that Jeroen van Lange did for us on the fact that there is a pattern when Mercury goes retrograde, and it varies depending on whether we're in a bull cycle or a bear cycle, right? So you definitely want to be here to watch that video. We'll be posting that in the coming weeks, right? So
now it gets posted in 34 minutes.
34 minutes. Oh, perfect. Okay. So we are actually accepting volunteers. Like if you would like to be on one of these teams, reach out to us, because we're actually having a lot of fun. Like each person is becoming experts in different scenarios, and you're not only doing Google searches on what you can find on that scenario, but you're actually going back and looking at the charts and looking at what was the real-time performance under similar scenarios in past. Because the past, you know, I love how Da Vinci J says this, how traders often talk about, you know, the past doesn't repeat itself, but it sure does rhyme, right? So when we can look at what happened in past, we can often have a really good sense of what scenarios might play out in future.
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, so again, just reach out to us and let us know if you want to be part of that. We have a VIP mentoring group called Trader Crypto Ninjas. The details for that, the link for that is below if you're interested in going over and taking a look at it. And many of them are in the group are here today. Yay, shout out to the ninjas in the group here. Thank you so much for showing up and supporting us today. And we do fun stuff. So Teresa's got a branch off group looking at scenarios so that we could basically, I mean, the whole concept of it really is to help you, give you all the tools, give ourselves all of the tools we need to know when, you know, to be better traders and to be better, more profitable more often. And the research is a mountain of research to do, and there's so much to learn that the burden is less when we share it. That's the concept of Crypto Ninjas. We're also looking at creating our own NFTs and then helping each other market the NFTs, which is something that we're going to be talking about on this channel as well. So Crypto Ninjas is a great group to be in. Details are below, but if you just want to volunteer for the scenarios and be part of the research group where we're looking at certain scenarios and how it affects price action, just reach out to us and we'll get you on the loop. I think you meet once a week, don't you? And then you set little tasks.
Yeah, we meet once a week on Tuesdays and we talk about the different research. And, you know, if you have different scenarios you'd like to see us looking at, feel free to post your comments or your questions when you're watching our videos, because we are paying attention to the questions and comments that people post.
Yeah.
And that gives us a good indication or great ideas on some of the things we should be looking at.
Exactly. And you want to be really careful about scammers and spammers, because we've got a team that are going to be deleting all of those and all of the hatred that comes and the trolling that comes, so that we can keep a really nice, clean comments for people who are really genuine and wanting to, wanting to profit in the crypto space. But be aware, talking of scams before, that there are impersonators out there impersonating people's logos, their channel name, and commenting as if they're them. You will always know it's us, because there'll be a little grey box next to it showing that we've been verified as who we are, whereas the impersonators will not have that grey box of verification. And they're giving WhatsApp numbers, asking you to contact them, and then scamming you out of your Bitcoin. Say we'll invest for you and help you and so on. And we don't want anyone in our community falling foul of that. So just know that we're not going to be asking you for Bitcoin to trade on your behalf, right? That's not going to happen. We're not going to share our WhatsApp number with you. So just be aware of that. We will do our best to delete those comments as quickly as we possibly can. Thanks to Jeffrey and Rochelle doing a great job there, so that you don't ever, you're not ever exposed to that, and we can keep a clean channel. But they are thick and fast, and they attack all YouTubers in the crypto space. So just be aware of that. Sophie says, yes, know that well. Only made $38 on a trade. Oh, that's a time delay thing. Awesome. Thanks, Sophie. Cool. So the other thing you can expect from us are videos and live streaming and talking about mindset, managing emotions, and getting the right psychology on for profitability. And tomorrow, I think it is, we've got a video that I'm uploading that I would love for you to bookmark and come to every time you go through an emotional right? Whenever you feel like you've lost out, or you're feeling despondent, any kind of emotion that's being felt in the body, instead of medicating it with pizza or wine or, whatever your medication of choice is, come to this video. And the video is 100% me taking you out of that vibration, transmuting that emotion so it's not stuck in the body, and then moving you up to a higher vibration and a higher thought field, so it won't affect you going in and making a decision for your next trade. Because often when you feel that yuck, you're too scared to go back in. And we've seen that in the last few weeks, few days rather, haven't we, Teresa? Remember when we got the sudden drop, and all of a sudden, we have people like the market didn't know where to go, right? We kept getting these dojis like, and it was like, it was a standstill. It's like, what's going to happen? Nobody knows what's going to happen next. And you could feel that energy in the market. So those are the times to come to this video and just go, let me clear this so that I can not be affected by the past, come to it with a clear head, and move forward and become profitable more and more in the trading. We'll also do some psychology and mindset stuff, affirmations that are going to help you raise your vibration so that you do start to make better decisions. And also we're going to do a video on Sunday Bloody Monday to illustrate how to manage your emotions. Sunday Bloody Monday was Valentine's Day. It was Valentine's Day evening. Can you remember that? And then it went over into Monday. That's why we say Sunday Bloody Monday instead of Sunday Bloody Sunday from the U2 song. We saw it come down, and then all of a sudden it just whipped down and just wiped out. A lot of people got wrecked, right?
Yeah. And that's a great example of, I think some of the Asian big mining pools and whatnot pay attention to when we're all out to dinner with our sweeties, right? And I don't know whether it's friendly gamesmanship or whatnot, but we often do get situations when the North Americans or Europeans are normally not watching. Sometimes the folks on the other side of the pond do really, really big stuff, right? And so A, that's important to be aware of. B, if you can't get on top of your emotions when stuff like that's going on, then you're probably not responding effectively. So, so really, really important to understand, am I reacting appropriately for what's happening in the market right now?
Yeah. And that was so sore. Like the next day, I actually had to lie on my bed and process the emotions, because it felt like a big bully had come into the yard and hit everybody. Like that was the feeling, the emotional feeling, and it was really affecting me to the point where, you know, I just wanted to give up. And I'm going to be talking about emotional triggers. If you've got emotional triggers, everything that happens in this present time is going to be exaggerated to the point that it can actually make you render you speechless. And there are ways that we can deal with that. So expect a lot of help in the area of managing your emotions, getting your headset on, and getting the right psychology on. Cool. What's next? We're coming to a close, and before we go on to questions, do any of you have any questions? Because we're going to have a whole section playlist on how do you do this, how to do this. So we would love to make them based on what you want to know. So if you've got a moment right now, we'd love for you to just put in all of your how-tos in the comment section, and I'm actually going to go to share my screen and show you what's going on with XRP right in this moment, where we could be getting kind of like, just watch the fake head and shoulders that we were talking about earlier. We have a clear shoulder here. We have a clear head here. So I'm going to be watching to see if we get a head and shoulders. However, this is not at the top of the market. Right, Teresa? This is on a downward trend.
Not a reversal pattern. Yeah.
Not a reversal pattern. So people would look at this and go, oh, head and shoulders, it's going down. And then they would draw this line here, and they might place a short, go, I'm watching this. And of course, it could actually go down, right? It could totally go down to $1.13. But you wait for that confirmation, because this isn't a reversal pattern in this instance. This is just, it looks like a head and shoulders. And does that make sense? Teresa, do you want to speak to that a little more?
Yeah, well, exactly. So it could still break out of the pattern. It could still be a trade, but you're looking for different indicators, and you're looking at the trade differently if it's not a reversal pattern, right? So it's just really important to keep that in mind, right? This is really just a downward broadening wedge, right? And so you should be trading it like a downward broadening wedge, not like it's a head and shoulders.
Yeah, exactly. And it may come down here, but if it's just like, if it's a head and shoulders within an overall downward pattern or an up pattern, chances of it breaking down to the downside aren't as high as if it's a reversal pattern, and it might not go all the way down to its target. More often than not, it falls short of the target. If it's a reversal pattern, not only will it hit the target, more than likely, it can go even lower. So those are two really clear distinctions when you're trading head and shoulders, to not mistake a reversal pattern for a head and shoulders in an overall downward or upward trend. Anybody's got any questions on that, go ahead and shoot away. So I'm just going to go into our thing here to see, has anybody asked any questions at all in the comment? We
None
would love
yet. No, but thank you guys so much for being here, and thank you for commenting. We just love you guys. We really appreciate the energy on helping us get this launched. Just amazing, amazing support from our fellow traders. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, we really do appreciate that. We would love it if you actually shared this video too on your social media. That always helps us with the algorithm as well. So the last playlist that we've got is going to be Bitcoin and altcoin strategies. So we've got a number of experts that are going to help us with this. We've got a number of videos that we're planning on putting up there, so that you can get all of those really basic questions answered, as well as some of the more advanced questions answered. That's why we're asking, what would you like us to do videos on? What would you like us to clarify for you? And as we do our live streams each week, we're going to keep asking that, so that we can build a library of trainings for not just you, but those that come in. Because after you, we are going into mainstream penetration in the crypto space, which means that when mainstream starts entering, that means a whole lot of uneducated people are coming into the market and mostly losing money. And we're hoping that that playlist will be everything that you need to know not to lose money.
Yeah. Yeah, really important. And, we're also going to be focusing on, like, if you're new to trading or new to certain aspects of trading, then we'll have a lot of really cool stuff in that playlist. Like maybe you're just new to the Binance exchange and you need some questions about Binance answered, for example. So often we're getting some of our top favorite YouTubers to answer those questions for us, because we might not personally have all the answers, but we'll certainly find them for you.
Yeah. Cool. So we have come to the end of our introduction live stream. Thank you so much for participating, for all of your comments and all of your support. If you haven't already subscribed, we would love to have you on board in our community. We're planning on really supporting you in becoming successful in the crypto space. And there's lots of exciting interviews coming up, training videos that we will do, and live streams where we look at market analysis live and help you put your decisions together as to when to buy, sell, and trade with leverage, if that is what you're interested in, or trading, just spot trading, buying low and selling high. So that's it from me. I'm just going to finish off by saying no pattern, no trade, and hand it over to you, Teresa, to end.
Say no pattern, no trade.
No pattern, no trade, and trade consciously, right? Be conscious.
Trade consciously. The presence of cryptocurrency and the ability to trade it is a gift that's been given to our generation. It is the ability for us to have wealth transfer at a different level. It is the ability for us to think about how do we use money and how do we spend money, and what do we put our money for. Our project here in Vistamundo that we're having so much fun with, it's also a passion project, a hobby project, just came out of us really thinking about how do we really, really, really want to live, right? How do we really, really want to live? And cryptocurrency is a big part of that. How do we really, really want to live? Do we want power and money controlled in the hands of only a few institutions, and everybody else has to, beg at the trough, so to speak? Or do we want money in general to be decentralized and truly be controlled by the population of this planet, right? So we're really excited to delve into these conversations. We're really excited to have you here. We're excited how many volunteers are coming forward to help us with the scenario research. I think there's really strength in community. And the one thing that's going to be really different about this channel is it isn't just going to be Nicola and I, it's going to be community. And really community is what it's all about these days. So we love you. Thank you for joining us. And we can't wait to see you join us on future calls.
Yeah, Nadell has asked us to sing it, so we might go out with our no pattern, no trade song. Just for those of you who came towards the end, at the beginning of the live stream, we did some really important market analysis with some controversial, contradicting information about the price of Bitcoin, whether it's going up or down, what's going on with Ethereum right now, because it's just recapitulating from an all-time high. Is it going lower? Is it going higher? We looked at XRP. So you don't want to miss out on that, because that's happening right this moment, and it's going to help you make decisions that you need to make, which is what our channel's about. So remember, we're going to go 1, 2, 3, go.
Okay.
Na 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 na. That's the pitch, right?
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
1, 2, 3, and
no pattern, no trade. No pattern, no trade. It's so hard to sing on Zoom because there's always
no trade.
No
pattern, no trade. From us, guys.
Yes. So until we see you next time.
Great.
Trade consciously.